This video is sponsored by my good friends Leslie and Jamar Wright. Leslie and Jamar are the owners of Revive Salon and Spa Studios that is located in Noblesville, Indiana. Leslie has been doing my massages since 2022, and when I tell you they are the best massages ever, she knows what she is doing. I also want to say thank you again for them allowing me to come in to take my photos there for my Faith is Bigger Than My Fears podcast. Is where it all started, and how they allowed the vision to come to life. Also, for first time visits, you can go to www.revive, and that is spelled REVIVE.LLC.com. And when you schedule your first appointment at checkout, if you mention my name, Tamala Ingram, you would get 20% off your services. They offer massages, waxing, hair care. So you are going to be in great hands. Also, if you would like to follow Revive Salon and Spa Studio, you can check them out at Facebook, which is also their name, Revive Salon and Spa Studios. And on Instagram, they are revive_salon. Again, I want to say thank you to Leslie and Jamar for allowing me to be able to come into their space, and also for sponsoring this video. So with that being said, let's get into episode 3. Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Faith is Bigger Than My Fears podcast. I am your host, Tamala Ingram. And again, welcome. This is a podcast where we encourage each other, we motivate each other, we conquer our fears one episode at a time, and we put our faith and trust in God. And with that being said, stay tuned to episode 3. All right, so today we are going to be talking about how my Faith is Bigger Than My Fears podcast came about. And like I said in my first episode or second episode, that God had given me this dream and this vision of doing this podcast. And at first I had no idea what the name was going to be. I had no idea what I was doing, but God just told me to trust him. And so I want to just talk about the title or the name of my podcast, My Faith is Bigger Than My Fears. And that really came from when I sat back and thought about what I was actually wanting my podcast to be about. There are so many times when I thought about, having faith in God and having to overcome and conquer my fears. So I remember as a child, I was 5 years old, and I was at St. Andrew's Catholic school at the time. And I remember going across the monkey bars. And I was a beast at going across these monkey bars. Like nobody could handle, nobody could get me. I was flying through them. And I remember one time I got tired and I ended up stopping maybe like at the 4th bar on the monkey bars, and I was just hanging there. And one of the little boys behind me was like, "You have to go." And he said something that got me. He said, "But don't look down." And when he said that, don't look down, immediately, what do? You look down. That's your natural response, right? So immediately I have fear that came into my life when it comes to heights. And if anybody knows me, who are my friends, they know I am afraid of heights. So I remember looking down, and there's like all these kids. He's like, "You have to go because there's people behind you." Now they're all waiting and hanging there as well. So I said, "Okay, I'm tired. I'm just going to just jump down." He was like, "Either jump or go." So I made the decision to jump. Even though I was fearful of jumping, I still jumped. When I jumped down, you just release my hands from the monkey bars, I ended up landing on my wrist. So I sat on my wrist and I broke my wrist. And that caused me to have fear now in heights. And so I was like, "Okay, Father, how can I tie this all together?" And he said, "Even though your fears in heights have been with you since you were 5, right? Even though God said he hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power and a love and a sound mind." That's 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. He still knows that this is something that I deal with. Even as the adult, I still deal with fears, to the point that I even have, my daughter is is fearful of heights too. But one thing I realized is that I didn't allow my fear of heights to stop me from doing the things that God has called me to do. I remember taking my first flight at 12 years old, and I remember saying, okay, I always wanted a window seat. So every time I fly out or flown anywhere, I will always get a window seat because in my mind, right, I'm fearful of heights. I'm not in control of what's going to happen if something happens to this plane. But in my mind, it's like, okay, let me get a window seat so I can at least be prepared for whatever's going to happen on this plane. But at the end of the day, I'm praying and asking God to, get us to our destination safely. Bless the pilots. Let them be alert. Let them be aware of what's going on around them. And so even in that, God has shown me that there are ways to conquer our fears. I have another scenario when I was remember I'm afraid of heights, right? So I would even ride roller coasters, and even on the roller coaster, I remember one year, me and my best friend, we went to Kings Island, and I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna try these roller coasters. I know how I feel about heights and all that stuff, but I was like, I'm gonna do it. We got on the Vortex at Kings Island. Mind you, we are getting ready to, we're going up, we're over the trees now. The ride stops when we're getting ready to drop. And I remember praying, like, Lord, you already know your daughter does not like heights. I'm literally freaking out right now. I'm like getting sweaty. I'm like, I am numb. I'm shaky. And I remember the lady who was working with the ride at the time, she said, if we don't get this ride up and going, we're going to have you all get off and walk down. Mind you, the ride was swaying back and forth as they were walking up and down it. I remember telling her there was no way that I'm going to be able to get out of the seat and walk down these stairs. There's no way. There's no way at all. I remember just praying like, Lord, I don't care what you have to do. Just get us through this ride, and then they can shut it down and see what's going on with it. And I said, and let us just get through it. Let us get through it safely. Let us get through it. No more stopping. No more, we're stopped upside down. None of that. And I remember them saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and start the ride again. And then after that, we're going to shut it down to see what's going on. God is faithful. He hears our prayers. I'm telling you, because he already knew. He knew that I was not going to be able to get off of that ride and walk down them stairs. Mind you, we were above the trees. There's no way. Not your girl. Not at all. My fears and heights have not stopped me from doing what God has called me to do. And I wanted to say this to somebody, that Hebrews 11:1 says that now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. If I would have allowed my fears to really take over my life, and I would have stopped and not been able to enjoy life, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy going on trips or seeing the beautiful world that God created. I wouldn't have been able to ride some of these rides. I mean, literally, I got on another roller coaster ride. Mind you, in 2021, we went to Disney World, and we took my great niece to Adventureland or Adventure Time, and we went on the Harry Potter ride. No lie, my mom and I get stuck on that ride, and thank God it was in the dark because we were so high up. I said, God, I'm done. Like, sometimes you just know when you got to be done with things. I said, I'm done. I'm done with roller coasters. Y'all can have them. Kudos to everybody that rides them. They're fun, whatever. But no, this girl over here, I know where I'm at. I'm done. So I say all that to say this. Recently, my great niece had performed at the Pacers game. And I remember my niece saying, hey, we're getting these family pack for tickets. Do you want to go? And my first question to her was, where are the seats at? Because once again, your girl knows her limits, right? So she's like, oh, they're not too far up, and this is not, they're in good, they're good seats. I promise you, we were in section 205. And shout out to Mike. Mike works with the Pacers, and he's in section 205. He literally helped me because we got up to our section 205. We were in row 15. And as I was climbing up to row 15, I could feel my legs getting heavy and getting like, I felt like wobbly. I felt like, Lord, what am I going to do? Am I even going to make it up here? So my mom and I are going up to the top. We just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I remember praying like, Lord, help me. I remember sitting down. Finally, we got to our seats and I was sweaty. I was shaky. I was nervous. And I told my mom, I'm not going to be able to do this. I couldn't enjoy watching my great niece perform at the Pacers game because of my fears of heights. It was so bad that my body was like, get up and run, like go. So now I'm in fight and flight mode, trying to survive something because my body's saying, oh, you're in danger because of these fears. I'm telling you, these fears will have you paralyzed and have you stagnant and have you stuck and not wanting to move. If I did not move still, like think about it. If I could have just sat there and not moved and sat in those fears, no telling what would have happened, because I said, I have to get down from these stairs. Like I can't be up here. I can't sit up this high. When I got down there, Mike was like, oh my God, do I need to have someone come and see you, check on you? Because it was so bad that I couldn't even breathe. That's how bad it was. And sometimes we allow the enemy to get us so caught up in our fears that we can't even breathe. We're stuck. We're fearful. We are trying to figure out how is this going to work? How am I going to conquer this fear? But God already told us that he hasn't given us a spirit of fear, right? And he also told us once again that he would never leave us nor forsake us. And also in that situation, even though I was climbing up those stairs trying to get to our seat so we can watch my great niece perform, God told me this. I told you I would not put more in you than you can bear, right? But he also says that I know how much you can take, and you are already at your max capacity, and you still kept going. You still kept trying to go. And he said, I even know how much you can take. I knew you couldn't do that, even though you tried. See, I tried, right? And I think that was the faith part. Like, oh, I can try to do this. I'm going to try to conquer this fear. And God said, no, even that was at your max capacity. You could not have handled that. And so, like I said, I want to shout out again to Mike, because Mike saw it. I was in distress. He knew what I needed. And he got my mom and I really good seats and kind of like a VIP area. And we got to enjoy the rest of the game. And that was a good thing. But even in all that, it was just like, God, I still didn't allow my fears to stop me from having a good time and enjoying the game with my family. Now, if you see my logo is actually stairs. And when I was like, God, where do I have my picture taken at? What should I do? God said stairs. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna look for some stairs. I'm looking for stairs that are like straight ahead, right? And God was like, no, stairs at Revive. Also, I want to give you a definition of what faith means. Faith means it's a complete trust and confidence in something or someone, which means having strong belief in God, knowing that he has you, he's going to be with you, he's not going to put you in any harm or danger. So that is what faith means. Fear means it's an unpleasant emotion caused by belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. So remember those two, that when you are feeling like, okay, is this faith? Because we can have our fear sometimes does push us towards our faith. That means our fears decrease and our faith increases in God. And then, or is it fear because you have already been in danger or someone's done something to you and now you're like, I'm fearful and I'm not going to put any trust. I'm not even going to trust God with this. I'm not going to trust myself with this. I'm just not going to do it. I'm allowing my fears to outshadow my faith. And so remember that when you are trying to conquer your fears, that you need to know which one is the difference and what you're operating in. Now, the stairs are important here. I want to give a shout out and mention the stairs in the salon. This is my friend and her husband's salon. It's called Revive Salon and Spa Studio. It's located at 16095 Prosperity Drive, Suite 400 in Noblesville, Indiana. If you are looking if you're in around Indianapolis, Carmel, Noblesville, Fishers, check out my girl at Leslie Wright and her husband Jamar. They're actually the owners of this beautiful salon in Noblesville. I get my massages there, but the stairs, let's talk about it. When I first went and asked God, where do I take my stairs at? He said, Revive, right? And I said, Lord, why Revive? He said, because every time you go to Revive Salon, you have to conquer a fear. And I was like, oh my God, he was right. So Leslie's stairs, and Leslie knows this, they're the devil. They literally are. They're narrow and they're spiral stairs. If you can see on my logo, I'm sitting on those stairs. And God said, because those stairs have caused fear in you, but you put your faith enough to get up those stairs. And like I tell you, when I get to Leslie's, I have to pray that God would help me get up those stairs, right? And so I remember the first time going and getting a massage from Leslie. Shout out to Leslie because she's the bomb. If you need a massage, she does the best relaxation massages. She does the best like deep tissue massages. She does the best. She's the best. She has their services. They do waxing, they do hair extensions, they do coloring, they do massages, they do private parties, bridal experiences. So check them out. And if you mention that you saw or heard them on my show or on, they will definitely do something for you. First time is for the first time clients only if you mention that you heard this on my show. Also, I wanted to say that once I got to Leslie to do my first massage, I didn't realize there were stairs, first of all. I didn't realize there were stairs that were narrow, and I didn't realize there were stairs that were spiral. I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And I remember telling Leslie this, and she said there's been some clients who haven't been able to get their massages because of the stairs. And I was like, oh my God. So I said, Lord, I'm gonna conquer these stairs. I don't care if it takes me 5-10 minutes to get up these stairs. I'm going to get up these stairs. And I remember just taking the steps, and God was like, I'm right here with you. I'm taking the steps with you. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep moving. And that's faith, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I didn't know what to expect on my first visit, but I put my faith in God to get me up those stairs. And as soon as I got up those stairs, and as soon as I had that 90-minute massage, let me tell you, it was worth it. The results were worth it. I just want to say to somebody, don't allow your fears to keep you paralyzed, to keep you stagnant, to keep you from doing the things that God has called you to do because of the unknowing. Or maybe it's a trigger. Like I said, this started back when I was 5 years old. Heights. Fine. I had no issues with heights until someone told me, don't look down. What's your natural reaction? You look down, right? So even in all of that, I still conquer my fears. Now, there are some things that I've tried and God just told me, like bungee jumping, couldn't do it. I tried to do that like grade 8 thing, couldn't do it. There's just some things that God's like, there's only certain things that you can do, and you need to be okay with that. I just have to understand where I'm at, and that's okay. But I do know that every time that I am allowing my faith to become bigger than my fears, I know that I'm winning. So this is for somebody to conquer your fears. Know that every time you conquer that fear, you're winning, and God is winning you're winning with God, right? And the devil's not winning. He cannot win. He He will try to, like I said, he'll keep you from doing things, from growing. Like, I feel like that's growth when you can say, okay, I'm going to, even though I'm afraid of heights, I'm going to get on that plane. I'm going to get on that roller coaster. I'm going to go up those stairs. I'm going to go up those raptors, and I'm going to go enjoy that game. I'm going to enjoy family time because I'm not going to allow my fears to keep me from enjoying the things that God has told me, or just share with my family. And so, with that being said, I really just pray that this episode is short, but it's to the point. Like, that's why my faith is bigger than my fears, because God gave me the faith to be able to conquer my fears. So, as again, my name is Tamala Ingram. I'm your host of My Faith is Bigger Than My Fears podcast. Please go and check out my girl at Revive Salon and Studio Spa in Noblesville. Please let them know that you heard this on my podcast, and Leslie will do something very special for you for the first time clients. Mind you, Leslie and Jamar are they have a beautiful story, and God has blessed them. They started this salon in 2006 because God, once again, they stepped out on faith and trusted God with this vision that He has given them. So I just want to say thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, remember, we encourage each other, we motivate each other, we put our trust and faith in God, and we conquer our fears one episode at a time.